Mental Health Monday.
Mental Health Monday.
Right? Yeah. And I told him, I was like, well, I learned this from being wrong. So each opportunity I have in an interview, I get to learn whether I'm wrong. I get to learn whether I'm right. I get to learn, oh, I need to grow in this area or do a little bit more research.
Right.
Especially when you're directly hearing the story of what the person is going through. Because like when it comes to medication that folks get or therapy that folks get, at the end of the day, and correct me if I'm wrong, the client dictates whether the process is working for them or not. That doesn't mean the process is wrong, but that does mean that there's an opportunity to tweak things and figure out what would someone in this situation need, but that doesn't mean someone else in that similar situation would benefit from the choice that past client makes.
Right, absolutely. It's always moves on the client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, everyone's threshold and everyone's need and digestion is different. It's just like when we were doing the Total Truth event that you saw me doing in terms of creating vulnerable spaces for men. I told the men in the very first event to share with us what vulnerability looked like for them. And I let them know, it's like, hey, there's a good opportunity that like vulnerability is going to look different for everybody because vulnerability is going to be defined by what you lacked in your life growing up. That's just what it is. I was like, it bleeds into stuff and you may not connect it now and you may not see it now, but after this convo and after everyone's answers, you're going to sit in your car, sit at home or sit in a park bench somewhere and you're going to realize, ah, damn, he was right.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, vulnerability, I love that space that y'all are doing that, man. That's a good space. I really believe in that model of working with men, especially black men as well.
I appreciate you. I can tell you the pros and cons of that space too. But with that being said, when it comes to this work and giving out advice, I try not to give advice.
Yeah.
I try to tell folks like, hey, if you want to share your story, that's cool. If you want to talk, that's cool. But like, the advice I give you isn't the solution. It's a suggestion, and you dictate whether it's a good fit for you or not.
Yeah, because that can come back to bite you, and especially
it will.
Yeah,
it
especially
has.
Especially if you're not, That's why they always say with therapists, like, oh, we don't give advice. You know what I'm saying? But there might be times we might suggest, but it's up to you to make that decision.
And that's why I let folks know you're here to make mistakes. You learn from making mistakes.
Yeah.
Now you may lose some things, but like what you've learned, depending on who you are, could be more valuable than what you've lost. Like you need lost in order to learn. Yeah,
you have to, like, if you want to grow and learn, you have to be able to be vulnerable enough to say, okay, I don't know this, or I messed up on this. And I might say some stuff when I might not be truly correct. But I think sometimes we don't give enough space for people to even say that or be wrong because maybe the feedback or, oh, somebody's going to think this about me or they're going to crush me on social media. And I think that's where people don't want to, figure out, I don't want to be wrong. I want to be always right all the time.
Yeah.
Instead of just allowing yourself to be wrong so you can learn and grow, But that's I want to come back to that question that, though, you said about the specialty or the focus, though, for therapists.
In terms of a therapist, are you allowed to be a therapist without having a specialty?
Yeah. So, you don't have to have a specialty right off, right? But
Right off.
Let's
talk about the beginning.
Because the beginning, you starting out, you have a generalized, pretty much a space of what you want to work with and who you want to work with population-wise, what type of interventions you want to use, things like that. And you're just getting your feet wet, in a sense. Now, it depends on where you want to go. That's why I say you can be general the whole entire time and be cool, right? And when you first start out, you probably do want to be general. But if you say, okay, I do want to work with this population, provide this intervention, then as you continue to do therapy, you get more specialized in that area. And that helps with marketing, clients, things like that, and building your brand and your business. So it really depends on what trajectory you're trying to go in your career. So that's from a marketing perspective. But when you first start out as a therapist, generalize.
Yeah.
You need to work with everybody in a sense. You can be specialized if you want to and start developing that process. But typically, there's nothing wrong with having a general focus initially.
What would you say are 3 positive characteristics of a therapist?
Positive characteristics? I would say that I'm trying to work on not saying so I came in here today to say that. But
That's fine.
so say it again. Say it again. You know,
You're a work in progress.
I'm working on it, boy. I'm working on it.
in progress.
Yeah, so 3 positive characteristics of a therapist. Openness. Willing to be open and also collaborate with the client
Okay.
on the treatment plan.
What would collaboration, how do you define collaboration as a therapist?
I would define it as I'm working with you on your goals for treatment, and I'm not just infusing all of my evidence-based knowledge, schooling to say, okay, well, no, we have to do it this way, this because this is what this intervention said. This would no. I will work with you and say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. How do you think about? What do you think about this? Does this work for you? Or tell me something that you want to work on. Back and forth collaboration.
Yeah.
So that's what I would define it as, the collaborative effort to work on the therapeutic rapport, healing the treatment plan. Where are we trying to go? It's a collective effort versus just I'm in the position of power as therapist, so I have to make all the decisions for you when you're the expert of your life. So I don't know anything about you. I'm trying to help you work through those things.
Yeah.
Openness. I'm gonna say. The second one would be a kind of a 3-prong approach, but and it's one of the models that I live by, if your therapist is not helping, especially working with black men, black women, therapist is not building trust, safety, and rapport, right? If they're not building that within those sessions, virtually or in person, then that's a problem.
What's you got to detail trust, safety, and rapport, and what examples of that are?
So trust, in a sense, would be